Oh, here we are. Here we are. Good morning. Good morning, people. I see that we've got Corleone here. Good morning. Stephen, good morning. Alex, good morning. Yezenia, yeah, good morning. Yeah, the V60. Awesome phone, man. Awesome. How's everybody doing this morning? Everybody get your iPhone. Joseph, good morning. Draftsman. Ooh, Dudamang. Is that dude? Oh man, I'm not even gonna try. Good morning, guy with the panda avatar. There's too many umlauts and connected letters. I don't want to try it and waiting for the OnePlus 8T. You'll have to let me know how it is. I don't think I'm gonna get one. Russell, Austin's Tech. Good morning, Dream Big Channel. Everyone, good to see you. I don't know why YouTube sends me an email that says that I'm live. It's like I know I'm live. Technically T, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Oh, Apple considered your 2 failed transactions and 1 successful transaction. Now I've ordered 3 times. Hey, man, you never know. Maybe you can make some money. Scott, good morning, Larry. The gold is looking pretty good. Yeah, I mean, I like the way it looks in the pictures. Of course, the pictures are not really. I mean, if they're pictures of the actual phones, then they're pictures that are like heavily doctored. So we won't really know. But yeah, T, I got the gold 12 Pro 128, and 12 Pro 128. But I am gonna the Pro Max is what I'm really down for. So I'm gonna hang with the 128 and then see what happens. Good morning, Jeff. Good to see you. Kayvon, Ace, Santiago, Sherry. You want to get the new iPad Air. Did it go on sale this morning? I didn't notice. Somebody said something. It looks really cool, but I've got an iPad Pro 2018, the 12.9 inch version, and I can't really justify like getting another one. So yeah, I did. Hey man, I've never. I don't think I've worn anything gold since I was in like the 6th grade, and I had like one of those Italian tooth necklaces. Not even Italian. I don't even know why. But yeah, gold is not my thing. But that gold looks so cute, looks so sexy, so blingy that I figured I'd check it out. Yeah, it's. I mean, I guess it's good to let me know that I'm actually alive when they send me that email. But Greece. It's probably like midday-ish in Greece, right? Yeah, I bet it's warmer. It's 34 degrees here in Iowa this morning, which it's cold. It's a little chilly in Studio A. I gotta say, it's a little cold. Pacific Blue, Ace. Man, don't tempt me with the velour tracksuit. I haven't worn regular pants since like January, so I might start rocking the velour. It's the coffee's right here. It's right here. I gotta have 2 liquids. I gotta hydrate this early in the morning. Matt, good morning. France is getting AirPods or they're getting the ear pods bundled in the box. I bet that's like some sort of French rule, if it's true. You know, I'm both angry and not angry about this whole charging brick earpods thing. I'm probably more angry about the earpods thing, but it is what it is. So all colors and sizes are still in stock and ships within the next 2 weeks. Okay. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to go back on here in a little while just to see if there's anything still left on the US side, but it's always tough to know. Like my big concern this time around was that there would be a shortage of phones because of manufacturing being somewhat messed up. But it seems like this was probably the smoothest that I've done it. Although I always forget to get the card that I need to put the little number on the back end. So it's always like I get everything. I rush. I get everything in the box in the cart, and then it says what's the code, and I'm like, oh crap. So then I gotta run and get the code, and it's way too stressful. It's way too stressful for this early in the morning. That much I can tell you. Jeremy, good to see you. Thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing the 12 mini. For various reasons, I want to get like all of these phones, which I think is unreasonable, but I still do. Yeah, Steven, I think the thing about the Pro Max camera is that because this is at least what I've heard, because the phone itself is bigger, they were able to do something different and with the sensor or something like that. So it is kind of a drag that they're different. This is the first time ever that the two phones have been different. And I always hated when Samsung did that, but now here we are. But I guess it's okay. Skilty, good to see you this morning, man. Ron, good morning to you. Israel, very nice, very nice. I don't even know what time it would be in Israel. Yeah, Russell says he wants to get the 12812 since his 10-hour battery is 93%. That Verizon deal is really good. Like I was saying the other night, I feel like I might trade in my iPhone 11 to get an iPhone 12 or my daughter's iPhone 10R for that matter, to get the 12 and maybe gift her my 11 or something like that. Because yeah, I mean, I always feel like I don't need these phones. Why am I getting these phones? And then I remind myself like, oh, this is the job that I do. That's why. But then I have the phones and it seems like it's like I can't use more than one phone at a time. You know what I mean? Poolkit. Thank you. $5 Canadian. Thank you very much. I think of all the phones because of the different camera features and all that kind of stuff. I think of all the iPhones this year, the Pro Max is probably the one that it's clearly the one you're getting the most features for. So I would say yes. And especially since it comes with 128 gigabytes of storage as the base storage. That makes the base model a heck of a lot more attractive than it has been in years past when it's just 64 gigabytes. So yeah, I would say that it's worth it. I mean, to me, I always think of it in the bubble of like, well, I'm buying an iPhone, which one should I buy? But everybody's in a different spot. So if you want to buy an iPhone this year, the 12 Pro Max seems to me to be the best overall deal. Well, Skilty, you have to remember, and this is something that I do have to praise Apple for. Even though these phones are $1,000 plus for the at least for the Pro phones, you still have the SE and then the 11 and then the 12 and the 12 mini, all sub $1,000 and all like pretty much the same phone, at least when it comes to the the chip inside and everything else. I mean, I like what Google's done with the Pixel 5, except for I mean, and it's the 765 isn't that big a deal compared to the 865. I've used the LG Velvet, which has a 765, and I've used several different 865 chip phones as well. And you can't really day to day tell a difference between the two, but I mean, I think that having phones that are below that $1,000 point that offer a ton of value, plus having your premium phones, it's kind of the best of both worlds for Apple. And it used to be with Apple that you had to pay for the premium phone if you wanted to go Apple, and that was all there was to it. So I like their strategy now of being much more flexible and offering people a lot of different choices. This is a good point, and I've seen people point this out, and I hadn't really thought about it all that much. But yeah, the whole thing with the USB-C lightning cable is is going to be interesting because yeah, anybody who has a leftover 5-watt charging brick is not gonna yeah, not gonna have the charger they need to charge their phone. I mean, you can always plug into your MacBook if you have one, or your iMac or whatever, but it's not ideal. And I'm a little bummed out that Apple has not like fully explained this. Like when I was doing the pre-order, they threw a bunch of accessories up there after I put the phone in the cart, and they did like the first thing was of course the MagSafe charger. So I threw one of those in the cart really quickly and got one of those. But yeah, they did have a disclaimer. They did explain it a little bit on the website, like on the buy page for the device. But when people are buying things on like launch day like this, you're trying to click the buttons as fast as you can. You're not reading the stuff that they're talking about. So so I don't know. It's a very interesting choice to go this direction, and there will be problems when Apple when people open up their boxes. There will be problems. There will be plenty of people out there who will be up in arms, and you can't really say that it's their fault. I mean, not everybody in the world keeps tabs on everything that Apple does, so they're gonna have problems. Um, it will still work with the old Lightning cable. Yes, the Lightning port is still the port that you have to plug in. So you can still use your old charging bricks, but the one that comes in the box is no longer Lightning to USB A. It's Lightning to USB C, and Apple has never. Well, if you have an iPad, like an iPad Pro or something like that, um, then you have a USB-C charging brick. But they've never had a USB-C charging brick for the iPhone that I can recall. But I don't have one of the ones from last year in front of me for the Pro phones, so I don't know. And I mean, Jeffrey brings up a good point. I mean, I don't know. I rarely use wired charging. So but I think that the majority of people out there are going to be shocked, because wireless charging still hasn't become like totally ubiquitous in my mind. I just wanted to quickly say thank you, Scott, for the $4.99 super chat. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Yeah, this is a good question. It's on one hand, I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right. On the other hand, it's like, well, there are now like, so there's the legacy stuff that people might still have. There's the new stuff plus the MagSafe stuff plus regular wireless charging. So there's lots of options, but I think at the end of the day, while I admire Apple's desire to be eco-friendly, et cetera, they are going to make a crap ton of money. I mean, their number one accessory that they sell is the headphone jack dongle. So that should tell you something. That should tell you something right there. They're going to make a lot of money. I mean, if these USB charging bricks are $20, the 20-watt USB charging bricks, if they're $20, that's yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Okay, so Stephen, I did not and have not heard that the millimeter wave is if I remember correctly in watching the event, that all the phones have all the 5G bands. Now, I don't know how that they didn't mention anything about other countries or how it would affect anything, but as far as I know, all carriers in the US, all phones will have all of the 5G bands. That's what I remember from the event. If I'm wrong, somebody will let me know, but that's what I remember. Yeah, I've got this charging thing where it's like there's one lay down charging pad and there's a stand up charging pad and then there's an Apple Watch charging pad and an AirPods charging, like a lightning port sticking out so you can just stick the AirPod on there. And that's what I use for most things. And I have a wireless charger down here in this studio and another one on my other desk upstairs. But I also know that I'm not the typical user at all. So I don't expect everybody else to have adopted all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, if you had the fast charger from the last phone, you're in good shape. And yeah, I made a video when it was first rumored that they were going to take the headphones and the charger out of the box. I made a video, and I was I was really pissed, and I'm still pissed, but at the same time, there's so many different variables. Like if Samsung and other Android companies are going to charge us like $200 for 5G modems and jack their prices, but Apple's going to keep their prices the same, but make buying something like the wireless charger or the headphones an a la carte purchase as opposed to something that everybody gets in the box. And that means they keep their prices the same. Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal. And I know that there's that factor that Apple is going to make money hand over fist. But I would rather more people get to pay less money for the phone overall than, some people get a charger they don't need. But I don't know. I don't know. There's not really a good answer here. It's like Apple has always done unconventional things like this, and and there's always like some kind of argument for it and some kind of argument against it. But you also know that in the end, Apple is going to benefit monetarily from having done it. I have tried the spatial audio just to try it out and see what it sounds like. I don't watch enough like movies or video type stuff on my iPad to really have listened to it all that much and enjoyed it. But what I heard was impressive. I'm anxious to see if they start to if content starts to be made with that in like sort of baked into the audio design. I'm curious about that. I've never tried a Bluetooth adapter for wired headphones, so it's good to know that that works, Scott. Um, I know that they're coming. Like I think Audio Technica sells a Bluetooth adapter for the the M50s, but yeah, I've never tried it myself. Hold on here, Franklin. I'm reading Frank. iPhone prices aren't the same. They have increased and are in fact around the same prices as Samsung Galaxy phones. The iPhone 12 is $50 more than it was last year. There was no iPhone mini last year. The iPhone 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max are exactly the same prices as they have been for the past 3 years. So, I mean, the Samsung Galaxy S20 went from, I think, $800 to $1,000 this year, and they didn't offer any S line phones for less than $1,000. So Samsung's prices have been pretty volatile from year to year. While last 3 years, for the most part, Apple's prices have remained the same. I think most people would agree. So the AirPods Pro are still probably my favorite in-ear headphone because they do sound really good to my ears and they are very convenient to use with Apple related products. So, I mean, if you're looking to buy yourself a Christmas gift, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great idea. I still have to get a new case. My dog, when he was a puppy, chewed my case up, and it doesn't really like charge correctly or connect correctly anymore. Like I have to repair it every time I use them, so I don't use them as much. But yeah, London. This is the hard thing. I mean, is the 12 Pro better in some ways than the 11 Pro? Yeah, I mean the camera obviously has features that are over and above. You'd have to figure out like what's the value to you in terms of the like new like form factor and stuff like that. But then also like the Pro is slightly bigger this year. The Pro Max is slightly bigger this year. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, will you be suffering by keeping the 11 Pro? No, not at all. It's still a really great phone, man. But I think a lot of people are on that yearly upgrade program, so it doesn't matter. It's hard to say. Everybody's situation is different, and I've always, obviously, because of what I do, I've always gotten a new phone. So I try and be really cautious when telling people whether or not they, what I think, because I don't want people to get overly excited. I guess I don't know. Ace, thank you for the $4.99 super chat, my friend. Thank you for being here on these live streams and checking out the videos and stuff. I appreciate it, man. Always enjoy your comments. Yeah, Todd, we talked about that just a little bit ago. Yeah, people are going to struggle. I'm definitely going to be looking at that and cover it. Hugo, the mini looks really interesting. I think there are going to be a lot of people excited about the mini. People have been complaining ever since the iPhone 6 that the iPhones got too big for them, and the mini is going to be about the same size. Just by looking at it, it looks to be about the same size as those iPhone 5s were the original iPhone SE. So yeah, I'm excited to see what the mini is all about. Um, I wonder if there are enough people out there who have been waiting for a smaller iPhone to offset the number of people who are just like, yes, give me the big iPhone. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, Jeremy, I appreciate you saying that, man. I appreciate you saying that. I've encountered many Android users over the years, and you know, there have been times that I've been not so happy with Apple and have been pretty pretty vocal about it. But particularly in the last 2+ years, Apple has kind of like turned a corner and started being more consumer friendly in my estimation, with more phones and more iPads and more products that are available for different price points, et cetera, et cetera. Um, and and so yeah, they seem to like, they don't overreach. Maybe this is part of it. They don't overreach with features. So they end up like giving you new good stuff when they release new phones or a new product, but they don't go too far out on a limb to kind of to kind of fall on their face. And that has happened to Android manufacturers who have tried to push the limits. Now, there's arguments both for and against pushing the limits like that with a product that it costs as much as a smartphone. But I I guess Android has always been about pushing the edge, and Apple has always been about like guaranteeing that they have a solid product that's going to perform the way they want it to. And they have the customer satisfaction numbers to show that they usually get it right. So I appreciate you saying that, man. I appreciate you saying that. Not many people have the bravery. And VA Beach sucks. I haven't been there for years. I went there when I was a kid. I think you're absolutely right. When Johnny Ive left, I was very concerned. I was like, well, that's the guy who comes up with all the ideas. Um, when he left, I was kind of concerned. But ever since he left, Apple started fixing everything that was wrong with their products. So, so I don't know. And as much as they said like, oh, he'll still be working for us, he's going out on his own, but he's going to do this, that, the other thing. He may be doing stuff, but it's not anything that's been super public because I don't know what it is. Yeah. most people most people who use iPhones don't really complain. You know, it's funny, and I can say that the iPhone has gotten better only because my wife used to be like a dyed in the wool Samsung person. She loved the kind of customizability that you could get out of an Android phone, but because the rest of our family was using primarily iPhones, I convinced her to switch so we could do FaceTime and all that different kind of stuff. And so she used the iPhone for about a year, and then the Note 20 came out, and I got one. And I was like, well, if you want to go back to Android, I'll give you this phone. And I gave her the Note 20. She used it for like 2 weeks, and then she saw iOS 14 and was like, well, I want my iPhone back. so I so I gave her the iPhone back and sold the Note 20. Um, yeah, but yeah, just a nugget. I think you've got a good point there too. Android manufacturers have to compete with each other as well as as well as um, compete with Apple, I guess. I heard a crazy statistic. I think it was last week that in the United States, 50% of all smartphone users use iPhones. So when you have to compete against like your five top competitors in your own space, but then also compete with another company that has 50% of your market share in a country the size of the United States, like that, you do have to try and differentiate yourself somehow. And so I think that's why, like I said, a lot of Android manufacturers will push the limits but sometimes it doesn't really work. Doesn't really work for them. Yeah. So how many gig? I just got the 128. I've always thought that 128 is pretty much the perfect size, unless you are like a major content creator and you use your iPhone almost exclusively for that content creation. 512 gigabytes is a ton. 256 is nice and comfortable, but I've always thought that 128 was kind of the sweet spot, because people don't store media on their phones the way that they used to. Like back in the day, you would store media on your phone. You'd have your music on there, you'd have movies on there. Now everything is, a la carte on demand. You can download it, you can stream it, you can do all these different things. So I just feel like 128 is a nice sweet spot. More is always better, but I've never had a problem with the phone having 128. Steven, you're right, man. My iPhone 11, I have this like half moon scratch right here that has just really been bothering me. And it happened like it happened almost immediately after I bought the phone. Like at the stores, if you get it in a carrier store, they're always like, do you want to put a screen protector on? And I didn't do it. And within like a week, I think, or less, I had scratches. And I didn't do the Apple Care, Colin. I Part of the reason I didn't get Apple Care on this phone is that I know that I really want the Pro Max. So I didn't want to spend the extra money on Apple Care for a phone that I might pass on to somebody else or return and get the Max or whatever. So yeah, I didn't get the only thing that I've bought Apple Care on recently is my my iPad, which the only reason I did it was that you could pay monthly for it. I think it's like, $8 a month or something like that. So my iPad Pro has Apple Care on it. I wish I had gotten Apple Care on my MacBook Pro, because I dropped a speaker on it when it was closed and it kind of messed up the screen. Not that it's unusable, but if you get kind of OCD about things being nice and keeping things nice, then yeah, having a dinged up MacBook is a drag. Jeremy, I think you've got a good point, man. I think you've got a really good point. The fanboys on either side are gonna argue one way or the other, and it's fun. It's kind of like you're rooting for your favorite team. If Android is your local sports team, then you root for them, and maybe sometimes you're not as gracious in seeing the positives of the others of the other side. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that Apple makes it really easy for people to improve their daily lives by making their devices simple and somewhat easy to use. That's been their mindset for a long time. So for those of you who ordered, what colors did we get? What colors did we get? Because as I said on Twitter, I got the gold. And usually I'm not a big fan of the gold. Like, I never liked the gold of the other iPhones. It was always a little too, rose gold wasn't for me anyway, but it was always just like this very frosty gold. And this looks like super blingy. I don't know. I think when does Apple TV Plus run out as a free thing? Because I need to look. I just was there this morning. Let's see. Because I got Apple TV Plus. Apple TV Plus runs out, November 1st of this year. Do I want to pay for it after that? I don't know. Ted Meck, Thank you for the super sticker, man. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Super awesome, man. Thank you. T got the silver. The silver is really classy. I mean, I was at first I thought I'm gonna go graphite. The graphite looks a little darker than the space gray did, at least in some of the photos that I've seen. And you know, I like the black. So you know, I usually go white or black or silver, but this year I don't know. The more I looked at that gold, the more I was like, hmm. And again, since I know that I'm going to get the max, if I don't like the gold after I get it, then I can just, you know, I can just get the black. And I know a lot of people are excited about the Pacific Blue. I wasn't really. Last year I really liked the midnight green, and it was a really sexy looking color, but the midnight blue just didn't really grab me. Maybe if I see it in person, usually when I see it in person, my opinion changes a little bit. But what I've seen online and in photos and stuff, it hasn't really grabbed me personally. G Money says they just extended free Apple TV Plus until February. Well, that's good because because I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay for it. The Apple One thing where they're going to bundle all the stuff together seems like a pretty good deal, especially since I think a lot of people who would go for Apple One already pay for Apple Music, so they're getting all the other stuff for reasonably priced, you know, sort of upsell. So I don't know. And yeah, you're right. Like, I'm anxious to see what the battery life is going to be like because the batteries are smaller. They say that it's going to be like 1 hour more battery life than last year, but with 5G and a smaller battery, hopefully they are getting those efficiencies back from the 5 nanometer processors that the 5 nanometer process that they're using this year. But time will tell. That will definitely be something that everybody's going to wonder about as time grows closer. Mr. Maxman, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Much appreciated. Yeah, and like I say, it'll be curious. They made such huge strides. They made such huge strides in battery life last year with pretty much all the phones. I can't see them going backwards because that was the one sort of knock on, especially the smaller iPhones, was that the battery life wasn't as good as other phones. But you know, having had the iPhone Pro, 11 Pro last year, and then you know ultimately getting the 11, the battery life on both was fantastic. So I can't see them going backwards, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. White and gold are popular in Ireland. Interesting. Well, I mean, of course, gold is. I'm from Irish descent, so you know, like it's a leprechaun joke. I'm sorry. That was probably just a bad joke. They like the gold over there. That's what I'm saying, people. But yeah, Scott's got a good point. They didn't give any timelines for how quickly 5G will be available. You know, I know out here where I live in Iowa, 5G isn't really available anywhere but like one place in the state. and they weren't really clear about like, oh, and you know, on November 15th, we're going to turn on all of our sub-6 band 5G so everybody will have it. So I don't know. I'm hoping that this phone will push 5G out a little bit more quickly. But yeah, it's it's not right. It's not necessary to buy. It's not necessary. It's not necessary to buy this phone because of 5G. Hopefully, hopefully. Um, you know, I don't know what's going on with the camera. I don't know. I mean, here, I'll put this up here. I don't know why it's not focusing, because usually it's very good at the focusing. I may have pushed a button or something. It seems to want to focus on the microphone, which is a drag. Hugh, good morning. How's China today? Shannon, I've heard people say this quite a bit over the past few days. And the thing is, like, I don't think we're ever going to see Touch ID back on an iPhone ever. I think that, taking out of the equation the fact that right now with masks and COVID and that kind of thing, Face ID doesn't work quite as well, although I would be surprised if Apple's not working on some way to make that work better. Apple moves on and doesn't go back. So I just don't see fingerprint scanning coming back. 120 hertz. The story that we heard from people like John Prosser and others this year was that they were working on 120 hertz and they couldn't get it to where it was up to their specifications, whether it was battery life or fidelity or whatever. So they didn't do it. And I'd rather they don't do it and give us a good experience with the screen than do it and have a lesser experience. So, I mean, that's just, but 120 hertz, I've said this a bunch, 120 hertz doesn't matter to me at all. I have several phones with 120 hertz and several phones that are still at 60 hertz. And I go back and forth between phones all the time. And 120 hertz I don't even really notice it. And I think once you use a 120 hertz phone for a while, your eyes get used to it. And I know other people feel differently, and I have to respect that because I want to be a nice person. But yeah, to me, 120 hertz isn't a deal breaker, and I never expected for fingerprint scanners to be back in the first place. Just a nugget, you're making a good point here. I mean, with what they've done, especially with the Pro model cameras, like I've seen people say, like, I got this Sony ZV-1 camera. It's just like a 4K carried around quick point and shoot, do stuff camera, and it's a great camera. But the Pro phone can do stuff that this camera can't do. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Now, Ace, I will say that my vision is poor. I've worn glasses since like the 3rd grade, I think. So yeah, I have very poor vision. I can see the difference in 120 hertz, but it doesn't make that big a difference to me. You know, other people's mileage may most definitely vary. I think, Stephen, like you said, they put the Touch ID on the iPad Air, and that got me thinking, and maybe a lot of other people thinking, like, oh, maybe they'll do that for the iPhone. I think they did that for the iPad Air so as to have a little bit of a cost savings in terms of Face ID. Because if I recall correctly, the iPad Air doesn't have Face ID, correct? So it's better than having the Touch ID home button down at the bottom of the screen, and yet probably not as expensive as putting Face ID into that iPad. So Hugh, is the iPhone 12 value to switch? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that they are nice improvements over the phones that came out last year, and then the phones that came out last year were very nice improvements over what we had before that. So, are they like wild and crazy, groundbreaking improvements? No, but they are better in some significant ways than the phones that came before. Duh, 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 duh. Since you were 4, oh man, yeah, I probably needed glasses before I got glasses, but when I was in junior high and high school, I never wore my glasses to school because glasses weren't cool, and I have no idea. No, maybe I would have done better in school if I had actually worn my glasses, because that did coincide with me not really giving a crap about school. So, and man, I got to tell you, I kind of regret not giving a crap about school when I was in high school. I enjoyed college so much that I kept going into my 30s, but uh, and then taught college for another almost 15 years. But yeah, maybe I should have worn my glasses to school. Yeah, why not, Tech? Yeah, you're right. Every once in a blue moon, I think there'll be some kind of groundbreaking improvement that'll change the way that we make that we interact with our phones. But it's going to be something significant. It's going to be something, that changes the way that we use the phone fundamentally. And I don't see that happening. You know, I know a lot of people are really excited about folding phones and that kind of thing, but for me, I don't see the folding phone being like transformational in terms of how we use the phones. It's a cool thing, but it's like an in between move to something else, in my opinion. Yeah, I haven't I have the 2018 iPad Pro, so I don't have the one with the lidar on it. I'll be curious to see what, if any, noticeable difference lidar makes. Um, I I I really don't know. Uh, Augmented reality stuff is not as like mainstream as probably it will be in a few years. So lidar is going to be a big deal for that kind of thing. But and it's going to help with the HDR, with the room mapping and that sort of thing on the phones that have the HDR capabilities. But I don't know that it's going to make a noticeable difference day to day when people just use it. Um, yeah, you're why not? You're right. I mean, we're moving back and forth at this point. It's like it folds, it doesn't fold, it's big, it's not big. I I think that phones will like I really think that something like the Apple Watch or whatever comes after the Apple Watch will be somehow connected to the next iteration of what a communication device will be. I don't know how that's going to work. Um, it may also be the Apple Glass kind of thing, as Skilty is talking about here. Um, but yeah, I don't know what the sea change is going to be that's going to take smartphones from where they are right now, slab phones, to whatever they're going to be next. Uh the folding charge mat for the phone and the watch. I I mean, it's not the sexiest thing I've ever seen. I I have to check it out. I had to check it out. But yeah, it's not the best looking thing I've ever seen in the world. But it is it's as close as we're going to get to air power, at least for any kind of like reasonable time period. I think air power with MagSafe, they found an alternative to air power and air power is dead. That's just how it is. I, you know, Scott, you may say this as like a jest. However, when I was at CES earlier this year, there were companies there that had like smart contact lenses that basically were like heads up displays on your eyeballs and stuff. I don't know how good it is. I don't know how viable it is. I imagine it's incredibly expensive right now, but there are companies that are doing that already. And to me, that's kind of cool because I've said this before. I talk about one of my favorite writers, William Gibson. He was one of the first people to write in the cyberpunk vein, and his characters always had these like weird technology body modifications, like all their music was in a hard drive embedded behind their ear or something, and I think that body modification is going to be a big deal within the next 10 years. Body modification technology is going to be huge. And yeah, I think ultimately that's where mobile technology is going to go. And yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Now, here's a question for you guys. I saw this. Let me pull this guy up here. I don't know if you guys looked at the cases that they were selling, but let's pull this up. Let's find the accessories. iPhone accessories. Now, look at this. That is ugly. That's just so freaking ugly. I can't even imagine. Like, I don't want a clear case with a giant circle on the back. Am I wrong? I just, yeah, I don't want that. That's ugly. If I'm buying a clear case, I want it to be a clear case. Now, is it because the MagSafe can't magnetize to the magnet stuff that's in the phone, so it has to have that layer in between? I don't know. But I was looking at this, I was thinking like, oh, I should get a case. And then I looked at all the cases and I was like, these are fugly. I don't want a silicone case. I don't want a silicone case. I don't want. This just reminds me of, I've always seen those people who like, they get one of these kinds of wallets and it's just sort of glued to the back of their phone and it looks trashy. That's what this reminds me of. And I know that I would lose stuff. So, well, see, that's the thing. I'm not saying that the magnets in the case should be clear. It's just that there are already magnets inside the phone. So I guess that it's not powerful enough to like magnetize through the case to the phone. So they have to have that intermediary layer, is I guess what it's saying. But yeah, it does kind of look like an Apple warning sign. It's like, beware, Apple. The clear cases do go yellow after a while. I will say that like the OEM cases, like the Apple cases, are somewhat better. I have this one for my iPhone 11, and it's a Mikeki, I don't know, something that I got for cheap off of Amazon, and it has started to yellow. But usually the OEM stuff is made a little bit better than yeah, a little bit better, so it doesn't do it as much, but I would imagine it would. Saddle brown. Yeah, it's an interesting choice. That's an interesting choice for a color name. Yeah. I don't know why they call it that. Giddy up. But yeah, we've got 168 people in here. Mine says 156. Thank you guys all for hanging out this morning. It's very good to see. I I got up early, all excited about the iPhone, and so now I can talk myself back into being tired, and I'll go back to sleep. No, Steven, I was looking for the leather cases and I didn't see them either. So I have to imagine that maybe they just haven't figured out, or they haven't gotten him to the place where they can bring them to market, or they can't figure out how to get like the magnet stuff to work with the leather. I don't know. So just a nugget, yeah, it's a $60 to house an Apple Card, which is interesting because you don't need to carry the Apple Card because there's Apple Pay. So why? I mean, if this is $60 for your driver's license, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I haven't seen the dark green leather case. I really like the black leather case. I had a red leather case at one point, and then I did get the saddle brown one time, and the saddle brown can look really awesome after 6 months. You can sort of like get it to look all nice and worn and dark in places and stuff if you take some light sandpaper and scrape the coating that's on it off, and then you take something like coconut oil or something like that and put it on there. It's a whole process, but it does look good. It gets darker. It's less uniform looking. It doesn't look like, see, this looks like plastic to me. Good to know. November 6th. Okay. So yeah, I don't know why maybe they're just behind. Who knows? Is the camera that's on the 12 Pro Max worth the extra cost from the 12 Pro? For an average user, man, it's hard to say. I'm gonna have both phones at the same time eventually, so I will test both to see if there's any real noticeable difference. I'm gonna say that since they both have the same basic, they have the same basic feature set, and there's just like slight differences between the two, that it's not going to make that huge a difference. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Devin, good day to you. Thank you for being here. I'm gonna go for maybe another 10 minutes because I got other stuff that I got to do today. I mean, and so I figure an hour is a nice amount of time. Hugh, I'm not in California. I'm in Iowa. So it is 8:35 Iowa time right now. If if I had to get up at 5 a.m. or before 5 a.m. to order over there in California, that would not be fun. That would not be fun at all. Yeah, Joel, maybe you might be right. I mean, the thing about the Pro versus the Pro Max is that if you're talking the base model, then you're talking $100 difference, which if you're financing the phone is not, I mean, they're both expensive to finance, but it's not going to be that much more expensive to add on that extra $100. So it's really hard to say, and I haven't heard anything about the RAM. I mean, RAM on an iPhone is always so different than it is for anything else, that I don't keep up with it as much. 12:36 a.m. So yeah, it's nighttime. It's nighttime there. Sherry, where are you in Pennsylvania? I grew up in West Virginia, and I have in-laws and relatives and stuff that live in Pennsylvania. Melbourne. I've never been to Australia. I really want to go. I have some friends in Australia. I'd really like to check it out. I don't know how excited I would be about the about the 20 plus hour flight that I'd have to take. But yeah. Yeah, just set the camera up and talk into it every day, and we'll see the slow decline of Skilty. It'll be like, you know, in those post-apocalyptic shows, they there's always or movies or books, there's always that sort of journal or video thing or something like that. My my in-laws live in Lancaster County. They used to own a bed and breakfast in Lancaster, and now they live there still. They're moving to California though. Nice for them. Very nice for them. I'm stuck in Iowa. AirPods Pro definitely worth the buy, especially if you are like exclusively Apple. I am still really high on the AirPods Pro. I was really bummed out that we didn't get the AirPods Studio this time, although it may be that we get them announced next month, because most people seem to think that next month there's going to be some kind of event that's going to announce a silicon iMac or MacBook, probably MacBook, as well as the AirPods Pro or AirPods Studio. So we'll see. But yeah, I really like the AirPods Pro. GameSki, good morning to you, sir. You're still like over the moon in the honeymoon period with your Pixel 5. So I don't imagine you ordered an iPhone this morning. But, that's totally cool, man. The spatial audio thing is very cool, Joel, and I need to try it out more. Here's what I need to do. I need to hook up my AirPods Pro when I'm watching TV on the Apple TV. That would be probably the best way to experience the spatial audio. So maybe I'll try that later on today and see how it's doing. I think that the AirPods Pro are much better than the regular AirPods in terms of sound quality. However, I will say that like the AirPods Pro aren't really supposed to replace the AirPods. Like the AirPods are a good headphone for just everyday use. And I think if you live in a metropolitan area or something like that, and you walk around the city, it's probably good to have AirPods as opposed to AirPods Pro, because they do have some passive noise that comes through, so you can hear your surroundings. I always thought that the AirPods were incredibly convenient, worked incredibly well with Apple stuff, and sounded just okay enough that they were there. But the AirPods Pro sound really good. So I still listen to them, and I listen to a lot of different headphones, a lot of different in-ear headphones and stuff. And whenever I put the AirPods Pro back in, I still listen and think like, these do sound pretty good. And GameSki has a good point. I mean, $250 is a lot of money. You can get in-ear headphones that are probably as good sound-wise as the AirPods Pro for significantly less than that. I mean, what you don't get is that integration with the Apple ecosystem and all that kind of thing. But yeah, although on Prime Day, AirPods Pro were selling for $175, which I think is a pretty darn good price for the AirPods Pro. If you can find that deal, then you're in good shape. Power Beats 3. Well, I'm not a fan of that design, but I know a lot of people say that because they work out and that keeps them in their ears and stuff. So if you're on that front, then maybe, but I don't know. AirPods Pro $199 on Amazon right now, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. And yeah, GameSky, you're right, man. It's like I wasn't until I tried AirPods. I was kind of like, I just didn't really trust because Bluetooth headphones have always been a pain in the rear end for me. And the original AirPods were the first time that I was like, wow, this is a somewhat seamless experience that is not annoying. And the AirPods Pro just kind of like, they doubled down on that with the better sound. But yeah, I mean, the AirPods Studio are going to have, from what people have told me, two different models. One that's like a few $100, and then another that's like $600. And that's crazy, but I will definitely have to try them out. AirPods Pro are $399 in Australia. Australia, you guys always get jacked with prices. I feel bad. 2 years Geek Squad protection for $477 in Canada is, yeah, that's a lot of money. Although if I would have gotten the Apple Care, I could have gotten my case replaced without the case costs $100. That's why I haven't gotten it replaced yet. My dog chewed it up, so the case doesn't work right. And yeah. This is a good question, Gabriel. Good to see you this morning, by the way. I was watching Tyler Stallman's video where he was like talking about these phones from a photographer's perspective, and he was wondering if like there'd be any sort of camera attachments. I have no idea if the MagSafe stuff can transfer data back and forth. I imagine they would have said something about that, but yeah, there are a lot of possibilities. Charging case might be one of the things too, like being able to drop your AirPods on the back of the phone. I'm not a huge, I've said this about like the reverse wireless charging from Samsung, not really a huge fan of that feature. People have told me they love it. People have told me it's convenient, but for me, it's like, okay, if you want to charge something on the back of your phone, you have to put your phone down. You can't use your phone, et cetera, et cetera. But people argue with me on that. That is a crazy price. That is a crazy price. I mean, but my question is like, okay, so that's a lot of money, but in terms of like how the exchange rate and everything works, does it work out to be like somewhat comparable, or is it just like way more even with the exchange rate in Australia? Yeah, Franklin, I think the MagSafe, like, totally unexpected. I had no inkling that MagSafe was going to be a thing, but once I saw it, I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Balin, good morning to you. Thanks for stopping by this morning. Appreciate it. Genosis, this is a good question. MagSafe seems to make more AirPower makes sense in just that it seemed like wireless charging stuff was going in that direction. But with AirPower not working, MagSafe seems to be like seems to be a no-brainer. And they're going to have all kinds of accessories. They're going to make, as you say, a butt ton. At first I read that as button, but no, butt ton of accessories, and the licensing is going to be huge, and there'll be a whole new ecosystem of accessories that work with this MagSafe thing. And I imagine that the MagSafe thing will improve and be different as time goes on. But yeah, I didn't see it coming at all. So 10%. Okay. That is significant. I haven't seen this phone. I'll check it out though. I'll check it out. Good morning to you next. The Mac Mini is a really sneaky computer. I don't like the fact that it's so hard to upgrade, but at least you can still upgrade it. Simeon, I have not done a ton more research on how the Apple Pro RAW is going to compare to RAW formatting. I don't know that it can fully replace like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera, just because the sensors on those cameras, the lens choices, et cetera, are so much more versatile that I can't see it really replacing, although I can see that market getting smaller. I guess I can see that market getting smaller. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm gonna, like I said in one of my videos earlier this week, I usually don't get crazy about camera stuff on the channel. You know, there are a lot of people that cover camera stuff and do it really well. So I try and focus on other stuff. But the camera stuff on these new phones has got me excited enough that I think I'm going to dig deeper into the camera stuff this year, for sure. Hackintosh for the win until Apple Silicon becomes the norm, and then what are you going to do? You can't Hackintosh a silicon. That's, I mean, I've tried the Hackintosh thing before, and it was always too fiddly for me. Like I just didn't have the patience for it. Aditi, I picked up the gold for the Gold Pro, and so I'm gonna see how that sits with me, and then I'm gonna get the Pro. If I don't love the gold, then I'll probably go with the graphite color. Yeah, it's Genosis Pro Raw is going to be very interesting in comparison with what the Pixel is capable of. Last year, Apple did a great job of improving the cameras to where they weren't like, you know, falling behind, as particularly the Pixel. This year, the competition is going to be tight. So I didn't get a Pixel. I even asked. They aren't going to give me one. but yeah, I still want to pick one up though, and I also want to check out the 4A. So I'll have to check out that Linus video. Skilty. I think we will get a November event. I think I've heard like second week of November as potential dates from various sources. I think we will get one. I think it will probably announce something like a MacBook 13-inch Pro, something like that. And people are like, oh, why would you release the 13-inch? Because 13-inch is boring, at least to like people who are power users of the Macs. But a 13-inch MacBook is going to sell a lot more overall than the more expensive models. So to me, that it makes sense for them to go in that direction. But I really want to see the first like iMac or whatever. I want to see what that's going to be. Top Tech Geek, man. Good to see you this morning. Good to see you. Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I'll check it out for sure. Yeah, I want to see both as well. I'm anxious to see how both of them feel. I mean, the look of the Pro models, they look very premium this year. So I'm anxious to see how that translates into the like what they look and feel like in person. So rocking the Pixel 2, man. It's going back a ways. Android 11 is the last update that you're getting though, right? I think I heard that earlier this week, late last week, something like that. But guys, well, it's been an hour and 15. I gotta get breakfast and some more coffee. I'm out of coffee. I've got like just a little bit. Need more coffee. Need to get going on the day. Really appreciate you guys hanging out and stopping by. Always excited on iPhone release day. So I will be back with another video sometime soon. Be back with another live stream sometime soon. Tuesday, if not before. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Once again, my name's Jason. Sometimes known as the JTL. This is Painfully Honest Tech Friday morning coffee, in which I drank my coffee and now I got to get more. So you guys have a great day. And until the next time, I'm out.